Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, dang, my face looks kind of round right now. I feel a bit puffy, maybe bloated is a better way of saying that. My cheeks are rounded out. My jawline isn't very prominent. It's almost like my chin falls directly into my neck, creating this double chin or having this multiple chin effect. If that's ever happened to you, there's a high chance you have a lot more facial fat than you realize. I personally never even realized how much fat I was holding in my face, especially at the start of this year when I weighed 24 pounds more, until my girlfriend sent me this picture. So when it comes to losing the fat in your face, how exactly would you go about this? Well, first things first, you want to get to an overall lower body fat percentage. The lower your body fat is, the less fat you are going to have on your body. Now, the thing you can control is your body fat percentage, but you might not be able to control where exactly your body fat is stored. For a lot of guys out there, they tend to store it in the abdomen area. For a lot of ladies out there, they tend to store it more in their thigh area. So it's going to vary from person to person, but there are ways that we can do this because we have the things that are in our control, like your body fat percentage. But what's not in control is how exactly you store it. Everybody's going to have some sort of different genetic code, but that does not mean we can't get a leaner face and lose that fat altogether. So how exactly do you get into a lower body fat percentage? First things first, you're going to want to start tracking what you are eating. The more awareness that you can bring to what your nutrition is looking like, the far it's going to be so much easier to actually lose that weight, because then you can make the adjustments. You need data to make the adjustments. You can't try to hit a hiding target. It's tough to hit a target that you can't really see. There's been multiple studies done, and even my own experience with my clients has been that when we start tracking their food, they automatically just start losing the weight right away because they're paying attention to what they're putting in their body. Whether it is me holding them accountable or them just being a constant reminder to themselves, but that way they are seeing what they are doing and then can make the adjustment from there. By you tracking what you're eating, you're also going to start tracking what your body weight is and how it's adjusting throughout the week. So that way you can start to match the calories with your body weight. And what you want to do from there is put yourself into anywhere between a 200 to 500 caloric deficit. The lower the caloric deficit, the longer it's going to take. The higher the deficit, the faster you're going to get there. But you want something that's a lot more steady, sustainable approach. So if you know 300 calories is reasonable for you and you're not going to gain all the weight back right away like you have the past 6 times, then stick to a 300 calorie deficit. If you know 500 is something that you can handle, but maybe for a short period of time, and then maybe you drop it to a 400 caloric deficit, that's totally fine too. There's so many different strategies and ways you can go about it as long as you are actually in a deficit. And the only way to tell you're in a deficit is by tracking what you are eating. And although the scale doesn't necessarily completely correlate to your body weight, the scale over time should be trending downward. It should be trending in a downward direction, at least week to week and month to month. Now, you're always going to have a day-to-day fluctuation, like yesterday and today. You could be a 3-pound difference. Maybe you go up 3 pounds. Maybe tomorrow you go down 4 pounds. That sort of thing is just going to vary depending on where your starting body weight is at. But the goal is, as you are naturally coming down in body weight, you are typically coming down in body fat at the same time. So if you go from 240 pounds to 180 pounds, yes, you have lost a lot of body fat in that process. Day to day, don't stress. Week to week, you should be trending in the right direction. And then month to month, you should definitely start to see a downward trajectory. Another thing to keep in mind is that you just might hold fat in different areas as well. A lot of times, some people will lose fat in the same way that they gained it. So if you started gaining a whole lot of fat in your face and in your gut first, you might notice those might be some of the last things that you lose in the process as well. Some people hold fat closer to the cheekbone. Some people hold it closer to their neck and along their jawline. It's just going to depend on your structure and your genetic code there. But like I said, we can't change where we store the fat. We can only change the percentage overall. So by being in a steady deficit, by being consistent with it, resistance training, getting steps in, those are all going to be things that help you in the long run that will make it a lot easier to lose that body fat and to actually lose that face fat overall. So some of the things that you want to pay attention to are going to be your sodium and your water intake. If you're eating a bunch of chips and salty foods every single day, you are naturally going to hold on to a lot more water. Now, at the same time, if you start cutting down on a lot of those high sodium foods, a lot of those salty foods, you are not going to be holding on to as much water, but it sounds kind of contradictory. You want to drink more water. Naturally, you will want to drink at least, a lot of people, anywhere between 100 ounces a day to 150 ounces a day, just depending on the person, but that is a lot of ounces a day. Some people might work a desk job and live in very humid weather. Other people might live in really dry heat and work a blue collar job. So your water intake is going to vary, but you probably should be drinking more than you are right now. Same thing for that. You can track your water intake, especially if you have one of those bottles with the dashes on it and it tells you how many ounces are in it. That's a phenomenal way to start tracking. I'll actually carry one of mine around throughout my house and when I go places so I can see, oh yeah, I drank this 32-ounce bottle 4 times today. That's a pretty good job. I'm doing pretty good with my hydration. Because as you drink more water, not only are you going to fill yourself up more, like you're actually going to fill your stomach up to where you don't crave foods as much. You're not as hungry because most of the time you're not as hungry as you think anyways. A lot of times you're just dehydrated. So more water equals flushing your body out more, and less sodium means you're not going to hold on to that water nearly as much as well. And then sleep actually ties a lot heavily in with water too, to where the more sleep you're getting, the better sleep you're getting, the less cortisol you have. Cortisol being the stress hormone. It is much harder to lose fat when you are ultra stressed out all the time. And the better sleep you are getting, you are also not as hungry either. Ghrelin is the hunger hormone. So when you get good sleep, you can correlate that mostly with, okay, cool, I probably won't have as many cravings today. I won't feel as hungry. I won't feel the need to go to the pantry as often, simply just by getting enough sleep and drinking water. The 2 simplest things you can do to start losing fat are water and sleep. Not necessarily easy to implement those into your every single day-to-day life, but they are very simple when you go about them in a proper and a structured way, or at least you lay your life out in a way where you're carrying your water around wherever you go, or maybe you're waking up at the same time every single day, despite what time you go to bed. That way you're motivated to actually get good sleep, knowing that alarm's going to go off at 7 in the morning or whenever. So by getting better sleep, you're decreasing your ghrelin, you're decreasing your cortisol, you are putting yourself in an advantageous position to build muscle easier when you're eating healthy and resistance training, working out, and you're not feeling like as stressed during the day most of the time. Now, maybe you're like, well, I have ultra high stress, so I can't get any sleep. So now we're just reverse engineering this whole entire process. When you are super stressed out, a lot of things that I have my clients do, some of them will be journaling. Some of them will be taking little video diaries of themselves where they're just saying, hey, record a 2-minute video, get all your thoughts out, the good, the bad, the ugly, anything that happened during today, see how you are feeling, get those thoughts out and share that, because you don't always have someone that you can just talk to every single day. For at least a lot of my single guys, my divorced people out there, they don't have that. My people with spouses, they might be able to rant to each other about how the day went. So it's going to be a mix up depending on person to person, but the more that you can get your thoughts out there, even without having to communicate them to another person, the better you're going to be, because now you're sort of what I like to call unclogging your brain with all these thoughts you're getting hit with throughout the day, and you don't get to fully think them out. It's kind of like, okay, something happens and then something else happens and then something happens and then something else happens, and you don't get to come full circle or come to a full loop on what actually just happened and went on. So now you're still processing it. So this gives you a really good way to process things as well. Sometimes just taking a hot shower, going on a walk, things like that, doing something to just distract your brain. Sometimes maybe playing a video game, maybe not focusing so much about work. All those ways are different ways you can de-stress before going to bed. And then on top of that too, you should actually, let's reverse engineer that too. Earlier in the day, the more productive you are, if you're stressing like, oh, I need to do this, I need to get that done, I need to do that, the earlier in the day you get all that stuff done, the less stress you're going to have later on at night, which will make it easier to sleep, put you in a better position to actually sleep. So we're pretty much just reverse engineering this whole entire process, depending on what your challenge point is. Some people are going to start at the stress point. Some people are going to start at the productive point. Some people are going to start at, hey, how big should my deficit be? I can do this. I just need to make sure I have the structure laid out for me. So face fat comes and goes depending on your body fat percentage. You cannot spot reduce any area specifically. It is more so the overall loss of body fat percentage, but your genetics just might happen to have it store more in your face than it might, the person next to you or your coworker. Even seeing that photo of myself 24 pounds heavier versus now, it's like, oh, I can actually start to see more of a jawline. I don't necessarily look as puffy. And a lot of things that you'll notice too is that yes, sometimes facial hair matters. Sometimes lighting matters. So that's going to matter as well, depending on where you're at or where your photo is taken. And that way you can start to see, oh yeah, like I actually look a little bit better in this lighting. Or I notice if I can grow facial hair out and it tends to define me a bit more, sure, why don't I do that? But these are just a bunch of different strategies that you can do to help look leaner in the face overall, and it also oftentimes makes you look more attractive as well when you are leaner, and sometimes even younger in some scenarios. So keep all these in mind. If you feel like you need a strategy or routine to help lose the facial fat, maybe you're losing fat in the gut, you're just really trying to lean out and develop muscle, there's a one-on-one coaching application in the description down below. Fill it out. Let me know what you're struggling with. Let me know what's got you excited to actually start this fitness journey for the final time to actually see results. I'll reach out to you. I'll see what I can do for you, and then we'll go from there. This is how you lose face fat. If anything resonated with you, or maybe you learned something new, be sure to drop a like down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.